Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature Channel. Take a slow breath in and an even slower breath out. Let your shoulders drop just a little more. Tonight, you and I drift into a quiet world shaped by wings and wind. A world where birds move like whispers across the sky, and every soft detail helps your thoughts melt into rest. If you enjoy these calm journeys, feel free to like and subscribe, only if it feels gentle and natural. Now, let the day loosen its grip. Tonight, we walk into the tender realm of birds. You find yourself standing at the edge of a meadow just as the light softens. The air is still warm from the day, but the shadows stretch long and cool. You hear the first sleepy call of a blackbird settling into its evening rhythm. Its voice doesn't rush. It lifts slowly, as if rising on its own little breeze. You notice how birds never hurry their songs. They simply let them fall into the air like drifting feathers. A tiny flutter brushes past you. A wren hops from one blade of grass to the next. It's almost weightless. Birds are so light that even the smallest breeze can lift them. And you feel the gentleness of that fact settle in your chest, making your breathing softer. The wren tilts its head, listening to something only it can hear. Perhaps the faint tremor of an insect wing, or the quiet rustle of a nearby leaf. Above you, swallows carve soft arcs through the fading sky. They move together as if sharing a single thought. Scientists say birds in flocks don't follow one leader. Instead, each one watches the tiny movements of the neighbor beside it. A whole murmuration can turn as one, not because of command, but because of connection. And a hush falls over you as you imagine thoughts moving like gentle ripples through a sky full of wings. A soft coo rises from a branch overhead. A dove has found its evening place. Doves have a calmness about them, their feathers shaped to soften sound, their colors quiet like mist so they blend easily into the dusk. Watching it makes your own heartbeat ease just a little more. You notice how birds seem to understand rest far better than humans do. They close their eyes whenever they need to, even for a moment, trusting the branch beneath them. You take a step forward, and a tiny feather drifts down. Feathers are marvels, light enough to float, sturdy enough to lift a body into the sky. Each one has thousands of tiny barbs that hold it together like a woven dream. When water lands on them, it simply beads and rolls away. Birds stay dry even in the rain, wrapped in their own quiet engineering. Not far away, you spot a heron standing knee-deep in a slow, reflective pond. Herons wait more than they move. They stand in perfect stillness, sometimes for minutes at a time. Their patience turns the world around them calm, and as you watch its silhouette against the water, you feel the same stillness settling into your thoughts. A soft blue haze floats along the surface, and you feel as if time has slowed to match the bird's gentle rhythm. Above the tree line, you notice the outline of a hawk gliding without a single flap. Birds of prey can ride rising currents of warm air for hours. They let the sky do the work so their wings can rest. And in that moment, you learn something from the hawk, that you too can drift without effort, letting the air of the moment carry you. A robin hops near your feet, tilting its head to listen to the soil. Birds can hear tiny vibrations underground, worms shifting beneath the surface, roots settling, the quiet heartbeat of Earth itself. There's something deeply soothing in knowing that the world makes soft music all the time, even in places we cannot see. You walk deeper into the meadow, and and a breeze rises. Birds feel even the faintest shift in air with senses built into their feathers. Some can sense changes in pressure before storms arrive. Others can read magnetic fields to find their way through continents. You imagine traveling guided only by the Earth's invisible lines, and the idea feels peaceful, like being gently held by the planet itself. A nightjar calls in the distance, its sound like a slow, rolling echo. These dusk-loving birds blend perfectly into the forest floor, their feathers the color of bark and leaves. They rest through bright hours and become active only in the softest light. You feel a kinship with them, creatures made for evenings and quiet moments. The sky grows darker and stars slowly appear one by one. A tiny owl glides overhead, its wings silent. Owls have feathers shaped to hush the sound of flight, so they move like shadows, more felt than heard. Watching it drift above the treetops feels like watching sleep itself glide closer. As the meadow settles into night, you feel surrounded by small, gentle lives, by hearts that beat fast yet create peace, by wings built for both motion and rest. And you breathe a little deeper, knowing you're drifting into a world where nothing is rushed, nothing is loud, and everything follows the soft rhythm of nature. And with that, the night begins to gather around you, calm, feathered, and tender. The meadow fades behind you as you follow a narrow path lined with low shrubs and soft, waving grasses. Night is settling in deeper now, but not in a heavy way. It wraps around you lightly, the way a feather settles on water. You hear a gentle rustling from within the brush, and a quail family shuffles quietly across your path. Their tiny feet patter like raindrops on soil. Quails prefer to walk instead of fly, their wings saved for quick bursts only when truly needed. There's something soothing about their choice to stay close to the earth, as if reminding you that not everything must rise high to find peace. A little farther along, a distant chorus begins. The soft whistles of starlings gathering for the night. During the day, their voices can be sharp and playful, but at dusk, they turn gentle, layering into a harmony that feels more like breathing than singing. Birds often lower their calls in the evening, creating a softer soundscape as light fades. It's nature's way of letting the world wind down with the sun. High above, another shape moves as quietly as drifting cloud, an egret slowly crossing the sky. Their wings beat in long, slow strokes, spaced far apart. These birds conserve energy so gracefully that their flights seem effortless. You feel your own breath fall into that slow rhythm, matching the space between each measured wing beat. On a nearby branch, a small goldfinch hops in tiny, bouncy movements. Goldfinches molt into softer, duller colors for winter, trading bright yellow for gentle olive tones. They become quieter too, choosing calmer calls through the colder months. Watching one now, perched in the soft dusk, fills you with that same quiet shift, a gentle settling into a restful version of yourself. A rustle draws your attention to a group of tiny bush tits weaving into a thicket. These birds sleep huddled closely together, sharing warmth through the night. You imagine the softness of 100 tiny feathers touching, forming a single warm cluster hidden in the brush. Some birds travel through cold nights this way, close enough that their heartbeats warm one another. The thought brings a tender warmth to your chest. In the distance, a calm, deep hoot echoes, the call of a tawny owl settling into its territory. Owls have extraordinary hearing, able to locate a sound hidden beneath leaves or snow. But their voices, strangely enough, are never loud in the harsh sense. Even their echoes feel rounded, softened, shaped by the night air. As you continue walking, you pass a shallow stream reflecting the early stars. Near the edge stands a sandpiper, dipping its beak into the rippling water. These birds follow shorelines, never straying far from the gentle rhythm of waves or flowing creeks. Their lives trace watery borders where land and water meet in eternal calm. You watch it take a few delicate steps and feel the peaceful steadiness of that life seep into you. A soft flutter circles overhead, a nighthawk sweeping wide loops as it catches insects in the air. Its wings have a special taper that helps it change direction smoothly, like a leaf gliding through shifting breezes. Many birds that fly at dusk have larger eyes, able to catch the last hints of light. There is harmony in the way their bodies adapt to twilight, a reminder that rest and activity each have their place. You pause as a faint chirring rises from the grasses at your feet. A lark has tucked itself low for sleep. Larks often build nests right on the ground, hidden among roots and stems. Their trust in the earth feels grounding, and you let yourself take a slow breath, imagining your own thoughts settling just as securely. A warm breeze moves through nearby trees, stirring the outermost branches. On one of them sits a gentle little flycatcher. These birds wait in perfect stillness until the exact right moment to dart out and catch a passing insect. Their patience is their strength, and as you watch it remain calmly perched, you feel a mirror of that patience rise in your own quiet heart. Further along the path, faint silhouettes hop between branches like falling shadows. They're juncos, tiny birds with soft, rounded shapes and muted colors, perfect for blending with evening tones. Some birds change their songs depending on the time of day. Juncos often shift to softer calls at night, a kind of quiet conversation meant only for those nearby. You listen to their gentle chips and feel as though the forest is whispering welcome. A bird you can't quite see makes a soft trill from within the trees. Some species create these ultra-light songs at night to keep track of loved ones nearby. It's a navigation system made of softness, a way of saying, "I'm here," without disturbing the darkness around them. The leaves shift again, and you notice a small group of geese far overhead, flying in a slow, gliding V. Even at night, they sometimes travel, guided by stars and faint cues in the air. Birds feel the Earth's magnetic field through special cells in their bodies, tiny natural compasses helping them follow ancient routes across continents. Their long-distance, calm steadiness feels almost like a lullaby stretched across the sky. You reach a clearing where a single tree stands alone, its limbs stretching upward like quiet arms. Perched near the top is a night heron. It lowers its long neck, watching the world with steady, patient eyes. Many birds tuck one leg up while resting, keeping it warm against their feathers. Some even sleep with half their brain resting and the other awake just enough to stay balanced. It's a soft kind of vigilance, the kind that doesn't disturb serenity. The night air deepens and the soundscape shifts. The birds of daytime have quieted, leaving space for those who find comfort in darkness. You hear gentle wing beats, like faint brushes of silk passing overhead. Some bats join the scene. Birds aren't the only ones who mastered air. but their presence fits into the tapestry of quiet flight. Everywhere around you, feathers settle, calls soften, and the night becomes a cradle of stillness. The world of birds, so full of motion and song during the day, reveals its gentler side, resting, breathing, waiting for dawn. And as you stand in the clearing, under the stretched wings of the evening, you feel held by that same softness, warm, weightless, and ready to drift deeper into night. The clearing slowly gives way to a deeper part of the forest, where branches form graceful arches above your head. The air is cooler here, touched with the faint scent of moss and early dew. As you step beneath the canopy, you hear a soft rustle on the forest floor, a thrush shifting through fallen leaves. Thrushes have a way of moving that sounds almost musical, each little step a gentle tap in nature's quiet rhythm. They rely on their sharp hearing to find hidden insects beneath the leaf litter. You feel yourself tuning to that same subtle sense, noticing the smallest details, the tiniest shifts in the world around you. A few steps deeper, a soft glow catches your eye, not from light, but from the pale underside of a woodpecker's wing as it glides from one tree to another. Woodpeckers use their stiff tail feathers to brace themselves against trunks, helping them balance as they tap gently into bark. At night, though, they become still, tucked into safe cavities, sleeping upright in soft, quiet shadows. You imagine one now, nestled in a hollow behind the very bark you pass, breathing slowly in the cool dark. From above, a gentle flutter draws your gaze toward a branch where a pair of doves have settled side by side. Doves often mate for long periods, sometimes for life, and they share many small tasks, finding soft materials for nests, taking turns keeping their eggs warm, and preening each other with soft, careful touches. Watching them lean gently together fills the forest with a warmth that spreads to you too, like a small lamp glowing softly in a darkened room. As your footsteps continue along the narrow trail, you notice a faint shimmer moving between the trees. A hummingbird, even at this late hour, hovers near a cluster of small flowers. Some species rest at night by entering a state called torpor, letting their tiny bodies cool and slow to save energy. But for now, this one moves in slow, floating arcs. You see how their wings beat so quickly that the air itself hums around them, though at night the sound is softer, barely a whisper. Next to a tangle of ferns, you hear a sudden, light puff of sound, just air pushing through feathers. A pheasant steps out into a patch of moonlight. Its feathers catch the glow in gentle gradients, each color shifting like dusk layered over dusk. Many birds have feathers built with tiny structures that bend and reflect light, creating colors not from pigments, but from the very shape of each thread-like barb. Even muted tones hold brilliance when touched by moonlight. You continue down the path until you see a soft movement overhead, a roost of swifts settled on a high branch. Swifts spend almost their entire lives in the air, eating, drinking, even bathing on the wing. When they finally land to rest, they gather together, forming a little cluster of wings and warmth. You feel comfort in knowing that even creatures made for endless flight find places to pause. Somewhere deeper in the forest, a single whistle rises. It belongs to a robin greeting the earliest hint of dawn, long before the sun arrives. Robins are often among the first morning singers, their voices gentle but steady, marking the shift between night and day. To them, Music is a way of claiming space, of saying, I am here, but also a way of welcoming the morning with soft, melodic certainty. The trail widens as you walk, and a quiet lake appears ahead, smooth as polished stone. At the water's edge, two grebes glide silently over the surface. Grebes build floating nests anchored to reeds, allowing them to rock gently with the water's motion. Their feet are set far back on their bodies, perfect for swimming, but almost comically awkward on land. Watching them drift effortlessly makes the lake feel like a cradle holding them tenderly. The surface stirs. A kingfisher flashes across the water, a streak of color that fades as quickly as it arrived. Kingfishers have vision so sharp they can see through ripples, pinpointing small fish beneath the surface. Yet, when they dive, they close a transparent protective lid over their eyes, trusting special structures to guide them accurately. Even in action, they guard themselves gently, a lesson in balancing clarity with care. A night breeze lifts, carrying the faint scent of lilies from the water's edge. Along the reeds, a moorhen steps gracefully, its long toes spreading across the swaying stems. Birds that live on delicate surfaces often have wide, light feet that distribute their weight, allowing them to walk where others would sink. You watch it move with fluid, practiced ease, its silhouette blending with the reeds that surround it. Nearby, a group of small wagtails bob their tails in soft, rhythmic motions. It's their natural habit, a gentle balancing mechanism that somehow feels hypnotic to watch. Many birds have little gestures like this, behavioral rhythms that help them stay steady, warm, or aware. And seeing them now, in the hush of early dawn, makes the moment feel steady too. In the growing pale light, a crane calls across the marsh. The sound is long, low, and calm. Cranes form lifelong bonds and migrate along ancient pathways, calling to keep one another close in wide open skies. Their voices carry far, designed to reach loved ones across distance. Hearing one now, echoing over still water, feels like a note of reassurance floating through the air. As dawn continues blooming softly around you, you notice the edges of the sky brightening, the first pastel hints of morning glow behind distant treetops, turning the world cool and lavender. A few early birds dart across the lake, their wings brushing the new light. Birds sense even the slightest shift toward sunrise, subtle color changes, tiny temperature drops, and prepare their own quiet awakenings in response. You take a slow breath in this gentle transition. Night is ending, but very softly. The birds are waking one by one, not with noise, but with calm movements, stretching wings, rustling feathers, offering small notes into the still air. You feel yourself drifting with their rhythm, caught between the dreaming night and the awakening day. And here, in this soft glow, you sense something soothing and timeless. That dawn belongs to the birds, and that they offer it to you too, one gentle wing beat at a time. The first traces of daylight stretch softly across the lake, touching the surface with a pale gold that moves like warm breath over water. You take a few slow steps closer to the shore, feeling the cool mist gathering around your ankles. The forest behind you is beginning to stir, not with noise, just with quiet life unfolding at a calm, unrushed pace. You notice a robin hopping along a low branch, its chest catching the sunrise. Robins are among the earliest singers of the morning, and their songs often mark the opening of the dawn chorus. They sing in gentle, liquid notes before the air warms, when sound travels farther through the stillness. Hearing that soft melody now feels like being welcomed into a brand new day. A pair of swallows swoop low above the lake's surface, touching the water with the lightest brush of their wingtips. Birds can sense subtle air currents rising from warming water, letting them glide with almost no effort. Swallows in particular move in fluid arcs that seem less like flight and more like drawing lines in the air. You watch them loop and drift, tracing the calmness around you. Perched on a reed stands a red-winged blackbird, its bright shoulder patch glowing against the tender colors of morning. These birds use their bold markings to flash quiet signals to others, sometimes invitations, sometimes gentle warnings that simply say, "This place is mine." Even in their bright colors, there is something deeply steady about them, a patient stillness that spreads through the reeds. Nearby, a soft rustling reveals a small flock of sparrows waking from their sheltered spot in the brush. They shuffle and stretch in tiny, coordinated motions. Sparrows often flock together for warmth and safety, sharing body heat through the cold hours. The simplicity of that closeness feels comforting now, an instinctive reminder that rest is easier when you feel protected. A soft flutter draws your eyes upward as a dove glides quietly overhead. Doves have wings shaped to produce a faint whistling sound, but in slow, gentle flight, their feathers barely whisper. They often begin their day with a soft preening ritual, straightening feathers, brushing away dew, preparing for whatever the morning brings. That little moment of self-tending feels like a lesson in moving into the day with tenderness. A rustle of wings moves from tree to tree as a group of goldfinches rises into the open air. In the morning light, their soft yellow feathers almost glow. Goldfinches molt twice a year, shifting into brighter shades in warmer seasons. Their colors are like the seasons themselves, changing gently, never abruptly, always in harmony with the rhythm of the world around them. Further along the lakeshore, a heron steps slowly through shallow water. Its long legs barely disturb the surface as it moves with patient, deliberate grace. Herons rely on these slow steps to keep their reflections still, so fish below are not startled by sudden motion. Watching one now in the soft light is like watching the morning breathe, long, patient inhales and steady, restful exhales. In a nearby tree, the soft tapping of a woodpecker begins, but this is not the drumming of midday. Morning taps are lighter, often part of simple communication, letting other birds know where they are. Woodpeckers have special shock-absorbing structures in their skulls that allow them to tap without harm. Even this small detail feels calming, knowing nature builds gentleness even into motion that seems abrupt. A gentle bubbling song rises from the reeds, a warbler's morning tune. Warblers migrate long distances in spring and fall, using stars and the Earth's magnetic field to guide them across continents. Right now, though, this one sings not of journeys, but of presence. Its song drifts across the water like a warm, rounded note of sunlight. On a nearby branch, a chickadee begins its simple two-note call. Chickadees are known for their curiosity. They recognize human faces, remember locations of hidden food, and maintain complex social bonds with one another. Yet their calls remain soft and reassuring, like a tiny reminder that intelligence and gentleness can coexist quietly. Far above, the faint silhouette of a hawk glides across the sky. Even at dawn, hawks ride warm thermals rising from the earth, letting them drift effortlessly. Their feathers are arranged to guide air in smooth patterns over their wings, reducing turbulence and creating a quiet, steady flight. Watching it move reminds you that even creatures built for power have moments of complete ease. A small flock of starlings lands nearby, their feathers catching small sparks of iridescence when the sun reaches them. Starlings' shimmering colors come from microscopic structures in their feathers, tiny layers that bend light into soft rainbows. In the early morning, these hidden hues glow with a subtle calm, like sunrise painted onto moving wings. Further down the shore, the gentle ripples of the lake reach a group of geese drifting together. Geese communicate constantly with muted murmurs, tiny calls that keep their group connected. They maintain lifelong bonds and raise their young together, the whole flock offering support. There is something deeply comforting in their steady presence on the water, like a floating village waking slowly from dreams. The lake brightens as the sun climbs slightly higher, turning the trees on the opposite shore into silhouettes brushed with gold. A kingfisher perches on a branch, watching the water with perfect stillness. Birds like these rely on patience rather than speed, waiting for exactly the right moment to dive. It's a stillness so complete, it feels like part of the landscape. A gentle breeze moves through the reeds once more, and tiny droplets of dew slip from their tips. A small wren hops into view, its body light as a sigh. Wrens have one of the loudest songs relative to their size, but in the morning calm, they often make only soft chirps, tiny acknowledgments of the day beginning. As the chorus grows, more birds join in. Each species adds its own note, not overpowering the others, but contributing to a shared tapestry of sound. Morning is a collective creation in the bird world, a calm symphony built from overlapping voices, each gentle, each necessary. You stand in the midst of it now, breathing slowly, wrapped in a world that awakens without hurry. A world where feathers warm in the rising light, and every sound is a soft celebration of the day beginning. And as you listen to this tender chorus, you feel yourself waking gently too, not fully, not abruptly, but in the same way the birds do, little by little, with calm, with grace, and with a soft unfolding into morning. The sun rises slowly now, not rushing into the sky, but blooming in soft layers of pale gold and peach. As the light spreads over the lake, you begin to walk along a path that curves gently into a field brushed with morning mist. Every step feels cushioned, softened by the dew that clings to each blade of grass. A small flock of meadowlarks glides overhead. When meadowlarks open their wings in sunlight, the underside glows a warm honey yellow. Their songs drift across open fields like soft whistles shaped by the wind. Birds with open grassland homes often sing while flying, their voices floating freely above the earth. Hearing them in the morning air feels like listening to sunbeams as they stretch awake. A little farther down the path, you see a bluebird perched on a fence post. Its feathers shimmer in the new light, but their color isn't made from pigments. It comes from tiny structures that scatter light, creating that sky blue glow. Structural color, nature's soft prism, makes some birds look as though they carry a piece of the sky on their wings. The bluebird tilts its head, watching you with gentle curiosity before letting out a quiet, airy note. Nearby, you spot a black-capped chickadee hopping from branch to branch. Chickadees store hundreds of seeds for winter, hiding them in bark crevices, under leaves, inside tiny cracks in wood. Somehow, they remember nearly every hiding place. Their memory grows stronger in colder seasons because their brains actually change size, expanding to store more information. Even this subtle brilliance feels peaceful here, folded into the calm morning. A soft flutter of wings reveals a goldcrest, one of the smallest birds in all of Europe. It weighs less than a teaspoon of sugar, yet moves with incredible energy. Watching such a tiny creature thrive in vast forests reminds you that strength is not always loud or large. Sometimes it is simply steady and persistent, like a quiet heartbeat in a vast world. The air fills with a gentle, hollow tapping. A nuthatch scurries down a tree trunk head first. Unlike most birds, nuthatches can climb downward with ease, using strong toes and balanced bodies to move in any direction. They explore bark with calm determination, checking hidden spaces with tiny, soft taps. Its upside-down movement brings a smile to you, nature's way of reminding you to see things from different angles, gently. A sudden burst of color arcs across the path, a cardinal emerging from the brush. Cardinals often sing even in winter, bringing music to quiet, snowy days. Their bright feathers are not signs of dominance, but signals of good health and strong vitality. Nonetheless, cardinals move with an unexpected softness, their deep color contrasting the gentle way they perch and observe the world. Deeper into the field, a line of poplar trees begins to sway. Perched high among them are a group of starlings preparing for the day. Though they can gather in huge, swirling murmurations, mornings often find them calm and unhurried. They stretch their wings slowly, shaking off bits of dew. Their iridescent feathers shimmer only when the angle of light is just right, making them look like shifting drops of midnight with stars inside. Near a small patch of wildflowers, a pair of goldfinches feeds quietly on seeds. They cling to swaying stems with remarkable balance, their feet adapted to grip even the thinnest stalks. Birds that feed on light. Delicate plants often develop specialized toes that create stability without effort. They make it look effortless, as if the flowers were offering them a perch designed just for them. A gentle breeze passes, carrying the warm scent of blooming clover. In the distance, a cuckoo calls with its iconic two-note melody. Cuckoos travel remarkable distances following warm seasons around the globe. They spend more time migrating than staying in one place, living in rhythms that span continents. Yet their call remains simple, almost childlike in tone, a sound woven into quiet landscapes all across the world. A flutter of laughter-like chirps comes from nearby. Waxwings perched in a berry tree. Waxwings can pass berries from one bird to another in a neat line, almost like sharing a gentle treat. Their feathers are smooth and silky, their markings soft and calm. Watching them share food feels like watching a peaceful little ritual, a reminder of connection and generosity. As you move farther across the field, a kestrel hovers in place above the grass. Unlike larger birds of prey, kestrels can remain almost motionless in the air by adjusting the angle of their wings and tail. They face into the wind, letting the moving air hold them. Seeing a bird hover this way makes the wind feel like an invisible cradle, strong enough to lift but gentle enough to sustain. On a nearby branch, a tiny titmouse peeks at you with its bright, alert eyes. It gives a soft, whistling call. Titmice form close social groups, communicating constantly with small notes and chirps. These tiny exchanges are their way of caring for one another, checking in, keeping close, staying connected. In this morning light, their quiet social warmth feels especially tender. A gentle motion in the tall grass reveals a rail slipping through the shadows. Rails prefer to remain hidden, moving quietly between reeds and stems with a surprising grace. Their bodies are narrow, designed to glide through tight spaces without disturbing their surroundings. You barely see the grass bend as it moves, as if the bird were made of air. As you continue along the path, you notice the distant silhouette of cranes flying in a long, calm line. Their wings move slowly, almost rhythmically, like part of a soft music you can't quite hear. Cranes are symbols of peace in many cultures, and in this moment, you understand why. Their presence feels serene, stretching across the sky like a ribbon. Farther ahead, a gentle chattering fills the air, a group of barn swallows resting on a fence. Their forked tails sway gently in the breeze. Birds with forked tails often maneuver with incredible grace, using subtle shifts to change direction. Even now, in stillness, they seem shaped from the idea of flight itself, sleek, balanced, effortless. As the sun climbs a little higher, the mist begins to lift. The world becomes clearer, but not sharper, just brighter, like a watercolor gently gaining color. Birds around you settle into their daytime rhythms, feeding, stretching, calling, gliding, and you find yourself moving peacefully with them, breathing in the warm morning air, feeling as if the entire field has opened its wings to embrace the day, and you with it. The path leads you gently away from the open field and into a patchwork of tall grasses swaying like sleepy waves. The sunlight has grown warmer now, but it still holds a softness, golden and delicate, touching everything with a glow that feels like a warm exhale. As you walk, you hear a faint twittering from above, and a small flock of finches drifts down onto the path ahead of you. Finches move with a kind of bouncy rhythm, hopping in tiny arcs that look almost playful. They use their conical beaks to crack seeds with surprising ease, beaks shaped like tiny, perfect tools built for their simple routines. You watch them for a moment, each one tilting its head as if studying the morning in its own quiet way. A gentle breeze stirs the grasses, revealing the soft silhouette of a corncrake slipping between stems. Birds that live in dense meadows often rely on secrecy more than speed, moving with silent precision to avoid drawing attention. Their feathers blend with the golden field so effortlessly that they seem woven from the same threads of sunlit straw. The corncrake pauses, listening to the hush around it, and you feel your own senses grow more attentive, tuned to the small rustles of the world. A warm patch of air rises across your skin, carrying with it the scent of pine from the forest ahead. Near the forest's edge, a jay flutters onto a low branch, its feathers shimmering in soft blues. Jays are excellent mimics, able to imitate the calls of many other birds. Yet, in this gentle moment, it simply utters a low, almost affectionate sound, a quiet note shared with the morning itself. Jays hide thousands of acorns each year, remembering their locations even months later. Some forgotten ones sprout, growing new trees and shaping forests without fanfare. You step into the shade of the woodland, where the light filters through leaves in soft patches, dappling the ground with shifting patterns. A pair of wrens flits between the undergrowth, wrens are small but remarkably resilient, surviving harsh seasons through constant movement and clever hiding places. Their songs, bright and complex, often seem far too powerful for their tiny size. Yet now they simply chirp gently, as if whispering to each other in the stillness. Overhead, a blackbird perches on a branch, its yellow-ringed eye shining brightly. Blackbirds often return to the same perches each morning, using familiar lookout spots to greet the sun. This one tilts its head, studying you as though offering a moment of recognition. Their calls, sometimes fluted, sometimes sweetly simple, carry through forests in soothing, rounded waves. A little further along, you notice a nuthatch climbing down the trunk of a tree, moving headfirst with the confidence of a creature that trusts its own balance completely. By gripping bark with strong toes and leaning back gently, nuthatches explore spaces other birds overlook. They tuck seeds into hidden crevices, creating tiny secret stashes all around the forest. Each movement is deliberate, steady, and calming. From a deeper part of the woods, a soft trill begins. A robin sings again, but this time the song feels different, lighter, more playful. Many birds change the structure of their songs depending on the time of day. In mornings, songs tend to be longer and more melodic, shaped to carry through still air. As the day warms, birds shift to shorter calls, conserving energy and communicating what's necessary with soft efficiency. A soft flutter draws your attention to a small cluster of long-tailed tits. They move as a group, hopping between branches like a family sharing secrets. These birds build intricately woven nests made of moss, feathers, and spider silk. Their nests can stretch and expand as chicks grow, shaped with gentle flexibility. Their closeness, their constant soft contact, brings a sense of comfort, a reminder of how warmth and connection ripple quietly through the natural world. You continue deeper into the woodland until the trees open slightly around a pond fringed with reeds. On the far edge, a small cluster of coots paddles slowly, their feet hidden beneath the water's surface. Coots have lobed toes rather than webbed feet, broad, leaf-like shapes that help them move efficiently in water and across muddy banks. Their subtle, rhythmic paddling creates gentle ripples across the pond, each one spreading outward like a tiny breath. A dragonfly skims the surface nearby, and a kingfisher suddenly darts across the water in a flash of shimmering turquoise. Kingfishers have feathers so vibrant that they almost glow, yet their brilliance shifts with the angle of light. Their rapid movement contrasts with the stillness of the pond, but even that sudden motion feels soft here, as if the entire forest has slowed time around it. The trail winds gently to one side, and you hear the soothing coo of a wood pigeon from above. Their voices have a warm, rounded echo that seems to settle into the air like a lullaby. Wood pigeons have strong wings that allow them to take off with surprising force, but in moments of calm, they prefer slow glides across open spaces. Their presence feels familiar, comforting, like a soft rhythm woven into the daily chorus of the forest. In a patch of sunlight, you spot a small cluster of butterflies rising from a patch of damp earth. Though not birds, they feel like part of the same gentle dance, delicate wings responding to warmth and slow, drifting motions. A warbler hops among the branches above them, its tiny beak searching for insects hidden beneath leaves. Birds that forage this way often develop incredible precision, able to locate food through the faintest rustle of movement. The path curves once more, leading you toward a small wooden bridge that crosses a trickling stream. On the railing sits a dipper, one of the few birds that can walk underwater. Dippers have dense, waterproof feathers and strong legs that let them step along riverbeds in search of tiny insects. Even water cannot weigh them down. Their presence near running water brings a clean, refreshing feeling, as if the forest itself is breathing through the stream. A high, thin call reaches you from the branches, a tree creeper spiraling upward along the bark. Tree creepers move in gentle, looping patterns, using curved claws to grip and tiny beaks to search crevices for food. Their spiraling path around tree trunks feels like a slow, meditative motion, an upward drift toward sunlight. And as you pause on the bridge, feeling the gentle flow beneath your feet, you notice how the forest has changed since dawn. Birds move not with urgency but with purpose, soft flights, light hops, quiet calls. Every sound blends together into a peaceful symphony, warm and slow. You breathe in the cool woodland air, warm sunlight touching your shoulders, and feel yourself softened by the gentle rhythm around you. Wings brush softly through the trees, feathers shimmer in drifting light, and the world for a moment feels like a vast quiet nest, holding you with the same tenderness it offers every living thing here. The wooden bridge leads you to a sunlit clearing where the forest opens into a meadow once more. The grasses now glow softly under the midday light, each blade bending with the breeze like 1,000 tiny brushes painting the air. You take a slow breath, letting the warmth of the day settle around your shoulders. The world feels unhurried here, moving to the soft rhythm of wings. A flutter of delicate motion draws your eyes upward. A small group of swifts loops high above the clearing, slicing smooth arcs through the sky. Swifts spend more time flying than almost any other bird. Some stay aloft for months at a time, sleeping in brief glides and drinking water from raindrops mid-air. Watching them now, you sense a lightness in your chest, as if part of you wants to follow their weightless path across the sky. Closer to the ground, a soft rustling reveals a lark rising straight upward in a gentle burst of song. Skylarks sing while climbing higher and higher, their notes cascading like warm threads into the air. Their voices drift far across the meadow, especially in midday warmth, when sound travels with a shimmery softness. You listen as its melody fades gradually, becoming part of the day's gentle hum. A little farther along the path, you see a small group of quails nestled beneath a patch of tall grass. They move softly, their patterned feathers blending perfectly with the sun-dappled shadows. Quails prefer staying close to the earth, relying on their camouflage rather than height or speed. Their tiny steps leave barely any imprint on the soil, like whispers passing through the meadow. From the edge of the clearing comes the low croak of a raven perched atop a weathered tree stump. Ravens are incredibly intelligent. They remember faces, use tools, and build close family bonds that last across seasons. But in this calm space, the raven's call sounds like a simple greeting, resonant, grounding, and strangely comforting. Its dark feathers catch the sunlight in slight iridescent tones, shimmering purple and blue like deep twilight. A small burst of color flits from a nearby bush, a goldfinch hopping between the stems. Goldfinches often gather in small groups, their chirps sounding like gentle, tinkling laughter. They feed on seeds that many other birds cannot reach, using their nimble movements to perch lightly on swaying stalks. Even their presence feels joyful, a tiny spark of warmth against the green. You step deeper into the meadow, and a faint, sweet scent of wild thyme drifts through the breeze. A butterfly lands gently on your sleeve, but your attention is drawn to a soft, musical cooing from the trees. A collared dove sits perched elegantly on a branch, swaying slightly with the wind. Doves have a calming, rhythmic call that seems tailor-made for peaceful afternoons. Their steady, gentle presence feels like a lullaby draped across the clearing. As the sun climbs a little higher, the shade beneath a large oak tree looks inviting. You walk toward it, and on a lower branch sits a redstart, its tail flicking lightly with each small movement. Redstarts communicate partly through these tail flicks, tiny signals that express curiosity or caution without a sound. Birds often rely on subtle gestures like this, quiet languages built into their bodies. Near the oak's roots, you see a few scattered feathers arranged in a soft curve. Birds preen throughout the day, removing old feathers and smoothing new ones into place. Preening keeps feathers aligned, waterproof, and perfectly tuned for flight. Watching a nearby sparrow run its beak gently through its feathers reminds you of the importance of small acts of care, simple rituals that restore calm. The warmth of the day brings more life into the meadow. From above, a kestrel hovers in place again, wings beating softly yet precisely. Kestrels use the sun to help them judge distance and depth, reading shifting light as easily as we read shapes. Their ability to hover isn't just skill, it's an effortless dance with airflow itself. In the tall grasses, a reed bunting flickers into view, its soft brown feathers shifting in the wind. Birds that live among reeds often have muted tones that blend with sunlight and shadow, allowing them to move quietly without startling others. This little bunting hops along a stem, balancing with delicate assurance. A subtle ripple passes through a patch of clover, and a group of starlings emerges, their feathers catching hints of green and violet. Starlings gather in social groups throughout the day, sharing information through gentle chirps and small movements. Their iridescence glows strongest in sunlight, making them look like living jewels scattered across the grass. You stroll a bit farther and come upon another small stream, its surface glimmering like liquid glass. On the opposite bank, a dipper bobs rhythmically, its head rising and falling in a steady pattern. This motion helps dippers balance on uneven stones and is one of their signature gestures, simple, soothing, and endlessly rhythmic. A quiet rustle above you reveals a green woodpecker clinging to the trunk of a slender birch. Unlike other woodpeckers, green woodpeckers spend much of their time on the ground, searching for ants, yet they remain agile in trees, using stiff tail feathers and strong toes to support themselves. Its gentle tapping blends with the soft hum of the meadow, becoming part of nature's midday heartbeat. You slip back into the sunlight and notice a pair of pigeons perched together on a rock. They stand so close that their feathers overlap slightly, creating a shared warmth. Many bird species lean close during rest, exchanging soft breaths and maintaining gentle bonds. The quiet companionship feels soothing, reminding you how connection brings calm. A little farther ahead, a young sparrow stretches its wings experimentally, practicing the movements it will soon need for flight. Birds often rehearse flying motions long before leaving the nest, strengthening their muscles and learning balance through gentle fluttering. The sight feels hopeful, like a soft promise of what comes next. As the meadow opens fully around you, the gentle chorus of midday birdsong continues, lighter than dawns, softer than evenings, shaped by sunshine and warm breezes. Each sound blends into the next, forming a peaceful fabric of life that wraps around you like a warm, feathered blanket. And standing here, surrounded by wings, warmth, and the slow heartbeat of nature, you feel yourself drifting deeper into calm. Midday unfolds gently, and you walk with it, step by soft step, carried by the kindness of the world around you. The afternoon settles across the landscape like a warm, quiet blanket. The sun no longer rises but rests, its glow filtered through drifting clouds that soften every edge of the world. You step into a gentle valley where the wind slows, the grasses hush, and the air carries a sleepy warmth that feels almost like a long, calm sigh from the earth itself. A soft rustling draws your attention to a hedgerow where a pair of wrens flit in and out of tiny openings. Wrens build domed nests with small side door entrances, hidden pockets of safety tucked into shrubs and tree roots. Their secret homes stay cool in the heat and warm in the cold, tiny havens crafted out of moss and careful weaving. Even now, you can almost imagine the soft, rounded nests tucked beneath the shadows. Farther up the slope, you notice a yellowhammer perched on a fence post, its feathers glowing like a small drop of sunlight. Yellowhammers sing soft, lilting tunes that often end in a gentle fall of notes. Their melodies carry through fields with a comforting clarity. Some birds sing louder in morning, but yellowhammers keep their music steady throughout the long day, filling quiet hours with a kind of calm persistence. A hush falls as a butterfly glides past, and you see a robin hop along the path ahead. Robins have a curious habit of following humans, not out of fear or urgency, but because they've learned that people inadvertently stir up insects as they walk. Their trust is light and cautious, but it feels like companionship nonetheless. This one tilts its head as though greeting you in its quiet, knowing way. The path curves slightly, revealing a sunlit patch of grass where a blackbird bathes in a shallow puddle. Birds love water, not just for drinking, but for cooling and cleaning, fluttering tiny droplets through their feathers to keep them light and supple. After bathing, they often lift their wings slightly to let warm air dry them. Watching the blackbird shake off water in sparkling droplets feels like watching a tiny celebration of the day. A gentle whoosh breaks the stillness as a wood pigeon swoops down to land on a branch above. Despite their size, wood pigeons fly with surprising grace. Their wings produce a soft, distinctive clapping sound at liftoff, an instinctive alarm they spread to others when disturbed. But here, in the afternoon quiet, its wings make no such noise. It coasts downward gently, blending into the forest shade. Near a cluster of tall reeds, you catch a glimpse of a reed warbler weaving through the stems with practiced ease. Reed warblers craft delicate nests suspended between reed stalks, shaped to sway with the grasses without losing balance. Their homes move with the wind instead of resisting it. A soft lesson in yielding gracefully to the world around you. Just beyond, a soft chirrup floats from an overhanging branch. A dunnock steps into view, small, brown, and easy to overlook. Dunnocks sing quiet, tinkling notes that sound almost like whispered conversation. They move modestly along the forest floor, making gentle hops in patterns that seem contemplative. It's the kind of bird that reminds you that beauty is often in the subtle things, those small presences that blend into the world, yet add depth to its quiet harmony. A flicker of motion above you reveals a tree creeper zigzagging up a trunk. Tree creepers begin their foraging from the base, moving upward in spirals before fluttering to another tree to repeat the pattern. Their curved beaks slip easily into cracks, and their tiny claws grip bark with effortless precision. Their movements, small and steady, feel almost meditative, a slow climb toward the sunlit canopy. You step beneath a broad oak whose branches offer generous shade. A distant call reaches you, the slow, rhythmic hooting of a tawny owl resting before its evening hours. Owls often begin stirring long before dusk, stretching wings and adjusting feathers in anticipation of night. Even in daylight, their calls carry a calm strength, blending into the soft warmth of afternoon air. On a patch of sun-warmed stones sits a wagtail, its long tail moving in its characteristic bobbing rhythm. Wagtails flick their tails as both signal and balance aid, helping stabilize their bodies while foraging along uneven ground. The motion is gentle and almost hypnotic, as if the bird is tapping out a quiet heartbeat in time with the day. A pair of bullfinches appears next, their soft pink plumage glowing gently. Despite their beautiful colors, bullfinches keep to themselves, speaking in low, flute-like notes that rarely rise above the hush of the forest. Their beaks, rounded and strong, are perfect for fruit buds and seeds. Watching them nibble quietly feels like observing delicate rituals, simple, steady, grounded. From a patch of bramble, a soft chirping emerges as a family of fledglings practices tiny wing flutters. Birds learn to fly through repetition and instinct, gently strengthening muscles with small, hopeful motions. Parents wait nearby, offering reassurance with muted calls. The scene feels tender, a gentle reminder that growth doesn't need to be rushed. A breeze drifts across the valley, carrying the faint aroma of warm leaves and wild mint. As the wind passes, a charm of goldfinches lifts into the air, swirling like small drops of sunlight. Groups of goldfinches are called charms for a reason. Their flight patterns are lively, yet somehow soothing, filled with gentle dips and rises that echo the warm rhythm of afternoon air. A soft murmur comes from the treetops. A pair of stock doves sits nestled together, feathers touching lightly. Doves often roost in pairs during warm hours, offering each other shade and comfort. Their quiet coos vibrate softly in the air, blending beautifully with the stillness. Farther ahead, at the edge of a small clearing, a kestrel rests on a fence post, feathers puffed slightly in the warmth. Birds sometimes fluff their feathers to let airflow cool the skin beneath, adjusting their temperature with delicate precision. The kestrel's eyes half close, its posture peaceful, a moment of rest between stretches of effortless hovering. As you take in the scene around you, the afternoon deepens. The air grows quieter. Even the insects buzz softer now. Birds retreat into pockets of shade, their voices drifting into gentler tones meant only for those closest. You step forward in this calm space, wrapped in warm light, accompanied by tiny murmurs and feather-light motions. The world feels softened, like every wing, every leaf, Every breath has settled into harmony, and with each step, you drift a little deeper into the serenity of the afternoon, held by the quiet presence of birds and the peaceful warmth they carry through the quietest hours of the day. The afternoon warmth slowly begins to ease, softening into a gentler glow as the sun leans toward the horizon. Colors shift into warmer hues, deep gold, muted amber, soft rose, and the world around you seems to inhale slowly, settling into the comforting pace of evening. You continue along the path as shadows stretch like calm, elongated brushstrokes across the grass. A quiet flutter draws your gaze to a nearby thicket where a group of chaffinches hops lightly between branches. Chaffinches use slightly different calls depending on the time of day, and in the evening they slip into softer tones, short, delicate notes that sound like thoughtful whispers. Their feathers catch the warm light in tiny flashes, each movement blending into the quiet dance of the dusk. A swallow swoops gracefully overhead, tracing gentle arcs through the fading sky. Swallows continue to feed until the very last threads of daylight, using their remarkable vision to detect insects even in dim light. Their movements seem more fluid now, less hurried, more like drifting brush strokes across a watercolor sky. You watch as it glides toward a distant barn roof, where dozens more swallows sit lined along the ridge, sharing warmth before nightfall. At the edge of the meadow, a soft chorus rises, a collection of evening calls from thrushes settling into their chosen branches. Thrushes sing some of the most melodic songs of any birds, and as dusk approaches, their tones grow smoother and more contemplative. Each note feels rounded, as though shaped by the warm air itself. The melody reaches you gently, carried with the scent of sun-touched grass. A pair of doves lands nearby, feathers glowing softly in the slanted light. Doves often gather in pairs during evening hours, leaning close and preening one another with patient, affectionate movements. Preening strengthens their bond and cleans their feathers, but it also slows their breathing, calming their bodies for the approaching night. Watching them nuzzle gently makes the world feel tender, as if everything has softened to embrace the dimming day. You move closer to the forest edge and find a small clearing where a robin sings its evening song. Robins often have two main singing periods, one at dawn and another at dusk, and their twilight melodies feel different from the morning's brightness, softer, more reflective, shaped to fill the silence of approaching night. The robin's chest glows in the final beams of sunlight, a warm ember against the growing shade. A flutter of wings catches your attention as a group of starlings rises briefly, then settles again in the treetops. Starlings gather tightly at dusk, forming murmuration patterns before settling into roosts. Even when they're not swirling in the sky, they stay close, offering warmth and protection through the night. They chatter softly, each tiny note part of a shared conversation that feels warm and communal. A crow glides above you, wings steady and purposeful. Crows are highly social and return to shared roosts each evening, calling to others along the way. Their flight feels smooth and almost meditative, shaped by broad wings that catch the cooling air with ease. As the crow disappears into the deepening blue, you sense a calm shift in the surrounding world, as though the day itself is preparing for rest. From a higher branch, the soft tapping of a woodpecker echoes gently, lighter than in the morning, more like a quiet check-in than a territorial call. Many birds reduce their activity significantly at dusk, conserving energy and preparing for the long, cool hours of darkness. Even the tapping feels muted, as if respecting the growing stillness around you. A warmth stirs near the ground as a small group of wagtails passes by, their tails gently bobbing with each step. Wagtails gather in flocks during the evening, roosting together in reed beds or low shrubs. Their constant tail movement is both a balancing mechanism and a social signal, a tiny gesture that helps them stay connected as daylight fades. At the far end of the clearing, a soft rustle reveals a pair of woodpeckers disappearing into a hollow. Many birds seek enclosed spaces for the night, tree hollows, dense hedges, or thick foliage, safe pockets where they can rest undisturbed. The forest offers countless hidden rooms, each one a cradle for soft breathing and folded wings. You continue walking until you reach a small pond that reflects the sky like a rippling mirror. A heron stands motionless at the water's edge, its silhouette long and elegant. Herons often remain perfectly still at dusk, watching for subtle movements beneath the surface. Their patience is endless, their posture serene, a living sculpture shaped by twilight. A thin, fragile chirp breaks the silence as a young starling calls for its parents from a low branch. Many fledglings remain close to their families for weeks after leaving the nest, learning feeding patterns and flight skills through gentle guidance. You see the parent swoop down, offering reassurance with a soft note. It's a tender exchange, nearly silent, but filled with connection. The fading light casts soft blue tones across the landscape. You hear a distant hoot, an owl announcing its presence, easing slowly into waking hours. Owls have remarkable low-light vision, and their ears are asymmetrical, allowing them to pinpoint sounds with extraordinary precision. Their calm, steady calls ripple across the valley, blending seamlessly into the hush of evening. Near the pond, a blackbird ruffles its feathers, pushing air between them to release the heat of the day. Birds regulate their temperature through tiny adjustments like this, fluffing feathers to trap warmth or smoothing them to cool down. Each gesture is small, but when seen in this quiet, golden hour, it feels like watching the natural world breathe. A breeze moves gently through the reeds, carrying with it a soft chorus of murmurs from birds settling in for the night. The atmosphere feels soft and thick with calm. Even the insects slow their buzzing, and the sky deepens into shades of lavender and warm gray. You pause at the pond's edge, letting the stillness wash over you. Evening is not an ending here. It's a gentle transition, a soft folding of light into darkness. Birds settle into nests, branches and hollowed spaces, their wings tucked close, their breaths steadying as night gathers around them. And as the first stars flicker into view, you feel yourself settling too, drawn into the serenity of twilight, carried by the quiet, peaceful presence of wings preparing for night. Night settles slowly, as if poured gently across the sky. The last hues of sunset fade into deep violet, and the first stars appear like tiny lanterns above the treetops. The warm air begins to cool, carrying scents of pine, damp earth, and the soft sweetness of distant wildflowers, closing for the night. You continue walking toward a quiet grove where the world feels hushed, dim, and tender, wrapped in the gentle arrival of darkness. From the branches above, a nightjar calls, a long, steady note that vibrates softly through the stillness. Nightjars are masters of dusk and darkness, relying on wide eyes that reflect even the smallest glimmers of starlight. Their feathers blend seamlessly with the forest floor, patterned like fallen leaves and bark. You hear the quiet rhythm of its call, and it settles into you like a slow, calming breath. A soft flutter passes near your shoulder, and you look up to see a small bat slicing the air in quick, silent arcs. Though not a bird, its presence fits naturally within the quiet sky. Meanwhile, an owl glides overhead, its wings moving with absolute silence. Owls have tiny, comb-like edges on their feathers that break up the sound of air, allowing them to drift like shadows across the night. Its flight is so smooth, so completely hushed that you barely feel the disturbance of air above you. Not far away, in a patch of moonlit grass, you notice a group of pigeons tucking their heads beneath their wings. Some birds sleep with one eye open, literally, letting half of their brain rest while the other stays alert. This gentle half-sleep allows them to remain balanced on branches, adjusting posture without waking. Watching them now, swaying gently with the breeze, you feel a sense of shared calmness, a reminder that rest can be taken slowly in stages. A blackbird offers a single, lingering note before falling quiet for the night. Many birds have a final song, a kind of soft farewell to the day before silence settles. This one's call drifts through the air like a tiny ribbon of sound, then dissolves entirely, leaving the world still and spacious. You reach a clearing filled with low shrubs where small rustles reveal birds settling into hidden nests. Young fledglings huddle together, sharing warmth under the soft protection of leaves. Many species sleep in family groups, instinctively drawing close in the darker hours. Their tiny breaths rise and fall in unison, creating a soft rhythm that merges with the sounds of night. A breeze stirs the tree canopy, and a soft rain of leaves drifts down. From the upper branches comes a faint series of squeaks, long-tailed tits huddling tightly together. These birds roost in communal balls of feathers pressing close, so each tiny heart shares warmth. You imagine this bundle of softness, quiet, sleepy, comforting, and it brings a gentle warmth to your own chest. You continue along a narrow trail where the ground feels cool underfoot. Fireflies begin to sparkle around the edges, their soft glows rising and fading like slow, drifting thoughts. A woodcock steps out from the undergrowth, moving with steady, almost dreamlike motions. Woodcocks have eyes set high and wide on their heads, allowing them to see nearly behind themselves, a quiet adaptation for nighttime meandering. It pauses briefly, as if acknowledging your presence, then disappears silently deeper into the shadows. From somewhere far above, a soft, vibrating trill drifts down, the night flight call of migrating birds. Many species travel at night, guided by the stars and the Earth's magnetic field. The cooler air and calmer winds help them conserve energy. You hear their faint notes, simple and delicate, like soft bells chiming across vast distances. Even without seeing them, you feel them passing overhead, small wings carrying entire journeys through the quiet sky. A barn owl perches on a fence post ahead, its pale feathers glowing faintly in moonlight. It tilts its heart-shaped face toward you, curious yet calm. Barn owls can locate prey purely by sound, hearing the slightest rustle from incredible distances. Their senses sharpen at night, but their movements remain gentle, drifting like pale ghosts through fields. As it lifts into the air, you see no disturbance, just a smooth rise, as though the night itself is carrying it. You enter a grove where tall trees create natural arches above. The air here feels cool and velvety. A tiny robin hops across a low branch, making soft ticking sounds, nighttime calls, meant for close communication. Birds use different calls at night, shaped not to travel far, but to reassure, to keep track of neighbors and companions in the dark. Near the base of a tree, a little goldcrest tucks itself beneath a drooping branch. Goldcrests are among the smallest birds, yet they endure cold nights by shivering tiny muscles beneath their feathers to generate warmth. Their resilience hides behind delicate wings, reminding you that quiet strength often lives in the smallest hearts. A gentle rustling from above reveals a family of tawny owls awakening fully now. Young owlets stretch their downy wings, testing them in the cool night air. Parents watch from nearby branches, offering soft hoots, notes filled with guidance, comfort, and reassurance. The scene feels like the forest's version of bedtime stories told beneath star-dusted skies. The night grows thicker, deeper, yet still gentle. Stars shimmer above like distant sparks, scattered across velvet. You pass through another clearing and hear the quiet chorus of crickets and frogs blending with the faint hum of wings. Birds that remain awake shift into nighttime rhythms. Long pauses, steady breaths, slow movements that match the calm pulse of darkness. You pause here, letting your eyes adjust to the soft glow of night. The air feels cool against your skin, but not cold. The sounds are delicate, spaced far apart, giving each one its own peaceful space. You feel as though the night is holding you, wrapping you in a blanket woven from feathers, shadows, and moonlight. Here, under this sky filled with soft whispers and drifting wings, you sense the quiet truth of nighttime. That darkness is not empty, but full of gentle life, taking slow, restful breaths. And you breathe with it, slowly, deeply, feeling yourself drift deeper into the serene embrace of night. The night deepens, yet the darkness feels soft rather than heavy, like a warm velvet quilt drawn across the sky. Moonlight filters gently through high clouds, illuminating the forest path in silver strokes. Each leaf glows faintly, each shadow stretches quietly, and as you move deeper into the nighttime woodland, you feel as though the world has slowed into a single, calm heartbeat. A soft rustle pulls your attention to the side of the path. A group of young robins shifts sleepily beneath a low holly bush. Birds often choose evergreen plants for nighttime shelter, protected from wind and dew by dense, overlapping leaves. The soft rustling is not agitation. It's simply tiny bodies adjusting, each one tucking a beak under wing as they settle more deeply into warmth. Above them, on a sturdy birch branch, a tawny owl watches with half-closed eyes. Owls can rotate their heads far more than humans, giving them an almost serene stillness. They simply turn their gaze without moving their bodies. In the moonlight, the owl's feather patterns blend seamlessly with the tree's silvery bark, a camouflage perfected over countless generations. You watch as it blinks slowly, as though drifting in and out of a dream. Deeper in the forest, a nightingale begins its tender song, soft, fluid, and rich with gentle notes. Nightingales sing at night more than most birds, their voices filling dark hours with warm, flowing melodies. Their songs can include hundreds of different phrases, yet tonight It sings mostly slow, long notes that feel like quiet reassurances scattered through the trees. Each one settles into your chest like a warm ripple. You follow the path as it curves around a small clearing. A blackbird sits perched on a moonlit stone, feathers fluffed loosely. Birds fluff their feathers at night to trap warm air between them, turning their soft bodies into tiny insulated nests. The blackbird's silhouette looks rounded and peaceful, a shape of complete trust in the stillness of the forest. A faint movement above reveals a group of starlings shifting in their roosting tree. During the night, starlings sleep closely packed together, sharing warmth and safety. They change positions occasionally with soft, almost dreamlike murmurs. Their iridescent feathers catch glimmers of moonlight as they turn, reflecting tiny hints of purple and blue. Like night sky trapped in each feather, you step into a narrow corridor of trees where moss glows in muted green shades along the bark. From somewhere above, the delicate squeak of long-tailed tits rises for a moment. These tiny birds gather in large, huddling balls to sleep, pressing their small bodies together to conserve heat. Their whispers are soft signals of adjustment, nothing alarming, just comfortable shifting in a shared roost. A breeze moves gently through the treetops, stirring leaves in quiet waves. A heron stands in a pool of moonlit water nearby, still as driftwood. Herons often stay awake deep into the night, preferring the calm waters and silver light. Their eyes, adapted for low light, let them move slowly and gracefully in darkness, as though they belong more to the night than to the day. For a moment, the heron barely seems real, more like a soft reflection emerging from the water's surface. As you watch, a soft, rapid flutter passes from branch to branch overhead. A tiny goldcrest moves restlessly for a moment before settling again. Despite their size, goldcrests survive cold nights by slowing their heartbeat slightly and finding dense conifer branches that shelter them from the wind. The resilience behind such small wings feels gentle and reassuring. A warm, woody scent drifts past, wild earth mixed with pine resin. You look toward a small thicket where a dunnock hops quietly between shadows. Even at night, some birds move with soft steps, foraging for the tiniest insects that stir in the cool air. Dunnocks keep close to the ground, trusting the cover of undergrowth to stay hidden and safe. Their movements are muted enough that the forest hardly notices. From the canopy above, a barn owl glides into view again. It circles slowly once, wings shaped into smooth curves. The owl's facial disc, the rounded feathers around its face, helps channel sound directly to its ears, giving it remarkable hearing. Under moonlight, the shape looks almost luminous, like a pale lantern floating gently through the trees. You follow its flight until it melts into deeper shadow. A small clearing opens ahead, bathed in a soft wash of moonlight. In the center sits a low stump, and on it, a robin pauses again, this time perfectly still. Some robins remain active at night in moonlit conditions, humming softly or shifting along branches. This one simply stares quietly into the distance, its tiny chest rising and falling. Its calm presence feels like the night, offering you a companion. Close by, the delicate flutter of wings reveals a tree creeper drifting from one trunk to another. Even at night, their movements are methodical. They begin at the bottom of a tree, spiral upward, then glide down to the next. Their curved claws let them cling to bark without strain, and their quiet steps make them nearly silent explorers of the nocturnal forest. You take a slow breath, noticing how still the air has become. The forest speaks only in soft notes now, tiny chirps, far-off hoots, the faint brushing of feathers and leaves, and through this quiet tapestry of sound, a gentle chorus begins, the night flight calls of migrating birds high above. Their simple notes drift through the darkness like distant flickers of light traveling on invisible paths across the sky. Guided by moon, stars, and Earth's magnetic lines, they cross entire continents on soft wings. A lone pigeon coos gently from a deep branch, its muted call almost a vibration rather than a sound. At night, pigeons settle into calm breathing rhythms, their chests rising and falling as slowly as the wind. Birds' heart rates drop significantly when they sleep, creating a stillness that mirrors the tranquil world around you. The moon climbs slightly higher, casting brighter patches of light across the forest floor. You step forward, feeling that the night is cradling you, lifting you gently the way air lifts wings. The trees arch overhead, their branches forming a soft canopy where shadows drift like feathers. In this soft moonlit moment, surrounded by quiet wings and peaceful breaths, you feel the serenity of night settle deep inside you, still, warm, and as gentle as the softest feather brushing your skin. The forest sinks into its deepest quiet now. This is the hour just before dawn, when the world lies in its softest state, when even shadows seem to sleep and the air feels tender, cool, and still. You walk along a narrow, winding trail where moonlight folds gently into the darkness, and every sound feels rounded at the edges. A faint shiver of feathers comes from a low branch, where a small family of finches huddles closely together. Many small birds choose to roost in tight clusters during the coldest hours, sharing warmth through tiny bodies pressed side by side. The little murmurs they make aren't alarms. They're soft, sleepy adjustments, whispers of comfort passed between them in the dark. Nearby, a wren settles deeper into its hidden nest, tucked inside a hollow root. The nest is shaped like a little dome, crafted with moss and tiny twigs, insulated enough to hold warmth until sunrise. Wrens build multiple nests throughout the season, some for shelter, some just in case. Tiny homes kept ready, like pockets of safety scattered through the undergrowth. Up in a tall spruce, you see the silhouette of a tawny owl perched calmly, its head turned silently as it surveys the night. Owls can detect the faintest movements, sensing even the tiny shift of a leaf pressed by the breath of a mouse. Yet, in these still hours, the owl simply sits, resting between quiet flights. Birds of prey rarely sleep deeply. Instead, they slip into short periods of restfulness, ready to move at a moment's notice. You step gently over a patch of soft moss and hear the rustling of wings above. A cluster of long-tailed tits shifting in their shared roost. These birds gather like little balls of fluff, sometimes 10 or more in a row. Their bodies touching so each can borrow warmth from the next. Their breath rises lightly into the cool air, merging with the faint mist forming near the forest floor. Further along the path, a robin perches on a thin branch, chest puffed gently. Robins often remain half awake before dawn, listening for the first hints of morning light. Their night vision allows them to function in low light, and their early songs are often the first to greet the opening day. But now it simply rests, letting its feathers fluff softly, creating tiny pockets of heat around its small body. The air grows cooler, and a faint layer of mist begins to gather around your feet. A soft splash draws your eye to a small pond where a heron stands in shallow water, its reflection long and pale. Herons sometimes remain awake through the night, feeding in the quiet hours when the water is still. Their balance is effortless. They can stand motionless for long minutes, barely disturbing the air around them. At the pond's edge, a moorhen nestles into reeds, its body half hidden among the stems. Water birds often sleep on or near water where predators struggle to reach them. Their feathers remain slightly oily, naturally repelling water, so the coolness of the pond never soaks through. The moorhen shifts once, then returns to stillness, its breathing calm and shallow. A light breeze drifts through, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and pine resin. On a sturdy branch overhead, a wood pigeon sleeps with its head tucked neatly under its wing. Birds keep one foot locked around a branch during sleep using a special tendon mechanism that tightens automatically when they relax. This allows them to remain balanced and safe, even while dozing high above the ground. As you move deeper into the forest, the darkness begins to lighten slightly, not with color, but with the faintest hint of silvery clarity. The transition is so gentle you can barely tell it's happening. But the birds feel it. You hear the softest peep from a high branch, just one note, tentative, testing the air. A thrush stirs next, offering a short, fluted phrase. Thrushes are sensitive to shifts in light and temperature, and they begin their morning songs earlier than many other species. Their voices carry beautifully in the still pre-dawn air, shaped by calm lungs and rounded vocal sacs that make each note feel warm and fluid. You pause near a fallen tree where moss glows faintly in the dimness. A tree creeper crawls slowly along the trunk, searching for insects stilled by the night's chill. Even now, it moves with gentle precision, its body fitting perfectly against the tree's contours. Birds that forage at night often rely on touch in close range, sight more than sound, moving like soft shadows through the quiet. Above you, a crow calls once, just a low, sleepy sound, not the bright caw of daytime. Crows roost in large communal groups, and as dawn nears, they begin to check on one another with soft, muted calls. Their intelligence allows them to coordinate wakefulness gradually, with small signals that ripple through the roost like slow waves. A soft shiver of wings brushes the air as a starling shifts in its sleep. Starlings often dream, entering sleep phases that resemble human REM cycles. They move slightly during these dreams, twitching feathers and adjusting position, as if reacting to images curled within their small minds. It's a tender reminder that rest touches every creature, no matter its size. As the sky lightens just a little more, you notice a faint glow pooling near the horizon, a promise of dawn. But the world remains in its gentlest state. The wind has paused. The forest breathes slowly. Even your footsteps feel softer, quieter, as though the earth itself is cushioning each step. In this moment, the birds around you exist in a serene halfway place, between dreams and wakefulness, between night and morning. Their feathers hold the last cool breaths of darkness, their hearts slow in peaceful rhythms. Their quiet presence wraps the forest in a warm hush. You find yourself sinking into that same softness, your breath deepening, your thoughts unwinding. The world feels wrapped in a blanket of stillness, held in perfect balance before the return of light. And here, in the gentle cradle of pre-dawn, you drift deeper into calm, guided by wings at rest and the soft quiet that only comes in the hour before morning. The first glimmer of dawn begins as a pale wash of silver across the tops of the trees. It doesn't burst forward, it arrives quietly, like a soft breath spreading through the sky. The darkness thins so slowly that you hardly notice its retreat. The forest's edges glow with a faint, pearly shimmer. You step gently along the path, feeling the world stretch awake around you. A soft, tentative note rings from a high branch, a robin testing the early air. Birds sense the nearness of sunrise long before light becomes visible, reading subtle changes in temperature and sky brightness. The robin's call is the first spark of the dawn chorus, a tiny ember glowing in the quiet. It sings again, this time a little fuller, as if the world has given it permission. Moments later, a blackbird joins in with a smooth, liquid phrase. Blackbirds often begin singing while the horizon is still blue-gray, their voices resonating warmly through the cool air. Their early melodies are slower than daytime songs, rounded, contemplative, shaped perfectly for the softness of morning. The blackbird's notes drift toward you like warm ribbons of sound unraveling the last threads of night. As the sky brightens to the lightest lavender, a chorus begins to build. Wrens add their bright, bubbling trills. Chaffinches follow with short bursts of melody, each note bouncing lightly through branches. Song thrushes contribute rich, repeated phrases that rise and fall like gentle waves. The dawn chorus is more than birds greeting the day. It's a communication web, a warm tapestry of territory, companionship, and presence. And in these early moments, every note feels like a gift. A soft breeze brushes past your face, carrying the cool scent of dew settling onto leaves. Along the forest floor, a family of long-tailed tits begins to stir. They've spent the night huddled together, sharing warmth in a row of fluffy bodies pressed close. Now, they stretch tiny wings, quietly chirping to one another. Birds often greet their roost mates with soft calls at dawn, simple exchanges that help them reconnect after the stillness of night. A goldcrest flutters into view, moving with light, quick hops along a branch heavy with dew. Tiny droplets cling to its feathers, giving it a gentle glimmer in the early light. Gold crests weigh less than a sheet of paper, yet they survive cold mornings by shivering tiny muscles beneath their feathers, generating warmth until the sun reaches them. Even their smallest motions seem full of gentle determination. In the branches above, a great tit calls loudly, its voice more confident than the earlier dawn singers. Birds with brighter plumage often sing later in the dawn chorus, letting the more cautious species begin the day first. The great tit's call echoes clearly through the forest, a simple, two-note rhythm that marks the growing presence of light. The path opens into a glistening meadow where dew sparkles like tiny stars on every blade of grass. A pair of goldfinches drifts across the field in soft, dipping flight. Goldfinches have a musical, tinkling call that they often give mid-air, a sound that pairs perfectly with the lightness of their movements. As they land on thistles, their delicate feet wrap effortlessly around the stems, perfectly adapted for balancing on thin, swaying surfaces. A soft trill comes from the fence post nearby, a skylark rising into the air. Skylarks sing as they ascend, lifting their voices in long, unbroken streams of melody. Their songs can last minutes, shaped by a steady, fluttering flight that looks as if it's being carried upward by sound alone. You watch it climb into the brightening sky, its notes drifting downward like warm threads. Closer to the trees, a wood pigeon sways gently on a branch. Pigeons begin their day with slow movements, stretching wings, shaking out feathers, adjusting posture. They take several minutes to fully awaken, easing themselves into the morning. Birds' hearts beat faster once the day warms, but at dawn, everything about them feels unhurried. A faint tapping begins in the woods behind you. A woodpecker starts its morning by drumming on a resonant branch. Birds use different trees for different tones, a kind of natural percussion. Morning drumming often carries farther, echoing through cool, still air. The sound blends not as noise, but as part of the morning's delicate arrangement. A jay glides from one branch to another, its soft blue feathers glowing in the rising sun. Jays often cache acorns in the soil and remember their hiding places months later. Some of the forgotten ones sprout into new trees, quiet reminders of how birds shape forests without even trying. The jay gives a gentle, relaxed call, its usual boldness softened by the early hour. As you walk farther into the meadow, a pale heron lifts into the sky with slow, measured wing beats. In morning light, herons often head toward feeding grounds, gliding low over water on their way. Their wings create barely any sound, just a soft, rhythmic motion that feels like the breath of the lake itself. Near the water's edge, a small group of starlings gathers on a branch, preening in the new sunlight. Preening is a morning ritual for many birds, realigning feathers, spreading protective oils, shaking out droplets of dew. Their iridescent feathers shimmer beautifully as they turn, catching early beams of gold and blue. A throaty, distant call echoes from the trees, the voice of a crow greeting the day. Crows awaken later than many songbirds, but once they begin speaking, their family members answer from across the forest. Their calls spread slowly, like warm ripples moving outward. You pause and take in the full chorus around you. The meadow, the branches, the distant lake. Everything feels alive with gentle sound. Each species adds a different tone, soft, bright, layered, warm. The result isn't loud, but beautifully full, like the earth humming itself awake. And as the sun breaks fully over the horizon, painting the world in soft gold, you feel yourself awakening too, calmly, slowly, without pressure, just as the birds do, just as the light does. The day opens its wings around you, welcoming you into its gentle warmth. The sun now rises fully above the horizon, stretching warm light across every tree, meadow, and fluttering wing. Morning deepens into a golden calm, the kind of brightness that doesn't dazzle but glows softly like honey poured slowly over the landscape. The air carries a mild warmth, and the birds around you step into their daytime rhythms with unhurried grace. A soft flutter brushes the edge of the trail. A pair of robins hops along the ground in quiet arcs, searching for a tiny insect hidden beneath fallen leaves. Robins use both sight and sound to locate their food. They can hear the faintest movements in soil, guiding them to hidden meals with remarkable accuracy. Their alert, gentle tilts of the head make them look curious, as if they're studying the morning alongside you. From a patch of sunlight on a high branch, a blackbird lets out a low, mellow phrase. Morning songs are usually stronger than afternoon ones, but as the day brightens, the blackbird shifts into shorter, softer notes. These calls help maintain contact with nearby birds, small conversations drifting sweetly through the air, like soft syllables exchanged between friends. A little farther along, goldfinches gather in a small charm, flitting between tall thistles. Their movements are lively, but never chaotic. Goldfinches have a delicate flight pattern, dipping and rising like gentle waves, each motion accompanied by a bright, tinkling call. Their bills, slender and precise, are perfect for teasing seeds from narrow cones, an elegance shaped over time, seemingly crafted just for quiet mornings like this. At the edge of the path, a tree creeper spirals slowly up a trunk. Each small step carries a sense of intention. Tree creepers rely on their curved toes and stiff tail feathers to support themselves as they explore bark for insects. Once they reach the top of a tree, they flutter down to the base of another and begin again. This looping journey mirrors a kind of meditative cycle, upward, downward, and upward again, all in the gentle rhythm of sunlight. A jay glides past you, feathers catching soft, blue flashes. Jays are the forest's quiet gardeners, burying seeds they often forget, allowing new trees to rise. In the brightening day, their calls are more relaxed, less urgent, more conversational. This jay settles onto a branch above you, observing the world with bright, intelligent eyes. The meadow opens ahead once more, filled with tall grasses swaying in the breeze. A lark rises from somewhere within, lifting into the warm air with a stream of song. Skylarks often sing high above the ground, sometimes hundreds of feet in the air, letting their music cascade down in long, flowing ribbons. Their songs can last several minutes, each phrase rolling into the next like a gentle wave across the sky. Farther down the path, a group of starlings gathers on a fence rail. They preen in the sun, feathers shimmering in subtle tones of green, purple, and blue. Sunlight intensifies their iridescence, which is created not by pigments, but by tiny structural plates in their feathers that bend and reflect light. Their chatter rises and falls in soft rhythms, a friendly murmur shared among companions. A soft rustle from a nearby shrub reveals a dunnock slipping out into the open. Dunnocks move with modest, deliberate steps, never drawing too much attention. Their soft brown feathers blend effortlessly with the earth, making their presence feel like a natural extension of the scenery. They sing in gentle, tinkling notes, each phrase tender and understated. The warmth grows as the sun climbs higher. A wood pigeon glides overhead in slow, steady wing beats. Pigeons regulate their flight with careful control, adjusting the angle of each feather to reduce turbulence. Their wings shine softly in the morning light, revealing subtle shades of silver and pearl. As it lands on a branch, the pigeon lets out a deep, rounded coo, a sound that seems made of comfort. Above the meadow, a kestrel hovers in a sunlit pocket of air. It holds itself perfectly still against the wind, wings outstretched, tail fanned. Kestrels use this hovering technique to scan the ground below, reading subtle movements in the grass. The sunlight creates a halo around its silhouette, making it look suspended in gentle golden air. You walk a little farther and find a pair of warblers hopping among the low shrubs. Warblers are tiny and quick, but their movements feel light rather than frantic, small bursts of energy contained within tender bodies. Their songs are thin, sweet threads stretching across warm air, weaving the meadow together with melody. At the far edge of the clearing, A heron stands motionless near a shimmering stream. As the water warms, tiny fish rise closer to the surface, and the heron's eyes track them with a serene focus. Herons often take long pauses like this, letting stillness become part of their method. In the soft morning glow, its pale feathers appear almost translucent. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves, carrying scents of warm grass, wild mint, and sunlit bark. Small feathers drift from above, sheddings from birds preening in the branches. Birds replace old feathers gradually throughout the year in a process called molt. Molting happens slowly so they never lose too many flight feathers at once, ensuring safety even during transition. You continue walking until you reach the shade of a wide oak tree. Here, a flock of blue tits and great tits dances among the leaves in soft bursts of motion. They move in mixed groups during the day, sharing information about food sources and shelter. Their calls rise in tiny, cheerful notes, making even the quietest corner feel alive. A swallow swoops low above the meadow, its wings slicing smoothly through warm air. Swallows drink by skimming the surface of ponds, letting droplets lift onto their feathers. They move with purposeful elegance, filling the open space with gentle arcs. The sunlight now rests fully across the landscape. Every bird moves with easy confidence, singing, gliding, preening, exploring. The morning has become a gentle conversation between wings and warm air. And as you stand in the golden glow, surrounded by soft movements and brighter songs, you feel yourself illuminated too, quietly, calmly, in a way that warms you from the inside out. The day drifts into its calmest warmth as the sun reaches its gentle, steady height. The world around you glows with the soft gold of a late morning that isn't rushing anywhere. The birds have settled into their sunlit rhythms, movements unhurried, calls lighter now, shaped by comfort rather than urgency. You follow a winding path through a meadow bright with tiny wildflowers, their petals shimmering beneath the easy light. A gentle rustle comes from a patch of daisies as a goldfinch emerges, hopping lightly between the stems. Goldfinches adore open fields like this, places rich with seeds and soft breezes. Their delicate beaks make easy work of thistle flowers, picking out tiny seeds with practiced skill. Their wings shimmer in small, bright bursts as they lift into the air, dipping in smooth arcs that feel like floating brush strokes across the morning. Further ahead, a soft shadow glides across the grass. A swallow rises from a low perch and sweeps effortlessly through the air. Swallows spend most of their waking hours in flight, catching insects midair with incredible precision. They drink on the wing too, lowering themselves toward ponds and streams so gently that the water barely ripples. Watching its graceful path brings a cool ease into your breath. At the edge of the meadow, a group of starlings gathers in a patch of sunlight. They chatter quietly, exchanging soft clicks and warbling notes that carry only a few meters. Their iridescent feathers catch flashes of green and purple as they shift. In bright daylight, these colors shimmer most clearly, created by microscopic structures that bend light like tiny prisms. The starlings fluff their feathers, letting warmth seep all the way down to their skin. You step into a patch of light where the air feels warm and still. A robin perches on a nearby log, its chest glowing like a small ember. Robins often watch quietly from perches like this, taking in their surroundings with alert but peaceful curiosity. They tilt their heads in subtle arcs, listening for small movements beneath soil and leaves. This one seems perfectly at ease, perched in the glow like a soft reminder to rest. A soft tapping reaches your ears, the gentle peck of a woodpecker exploring the bark of a tall oak. Woodpeckers use a variety of trees for different tones and purposes, sometimes searching for insects, other times communicating with family members. Their tapping is steady and rhythmic, almost like the forest's own heartbeat rising through the trunk. Nearby, a small group of wrens flits through tangled brush, their tiny forms moving in bursts of lively motion. Wrens explore pockets of shade, searching for insects nestled in hidden corners. Their movement is quick but never frantic, just purposeful, like little sparks drifting through the undergrowth. Their songs are surprisingly strong for their size, but today their calls stay soft, sprinkled between the leaves like flecks of sunlight. From deeper within the meadow, a soft flutter rises as a lark takes to the air. Its voice lifts too, a long, continuous stream of melody that spirals upward with each beat of its wings. Skylarks can sing while rising hundreds of feet into the sky, creating a floating pillar of sound that drifts gently back to earth. You listen as the song and the bird both ascend, disappearing into warm blue. You continue walking, and the landscape shifts again. A cluster of birches stands tall, their pale trunks glowing in the sunlight. A tree creeper loops upward along one of them, pausing occasionally to slip its slender beak between flakes of bark. Tree creepers always spiral upward rather than downward, using their stiff tail feathers for support. When they reach a branch's end, they flutter down to the base of another tree and begin the gentle climb again. A breeze moves through the birches, sending soft shivers through the leaves. A blackbird lands nearby, its feathers gleaming like polished onyx. It flicks its tail gently, a subtle signal to other birds, part communication, part balance. Its song has softened now into quiet phrases that seem to blend into the warm air. Not far away, a pigeon glides down from a higher branch. Pigeons have remarkable control in flight, adjusting their feathers with tiny, precise movements. This one lands softly on a stone, its wings folding neatly against its sides. It ruffles its feathers once, releasing the last bit of cool air trapped beneath them, then settles comfortably. As the sun warms your shoulders, you reach a peaceful pond bordered by reeds. A heron stands in the shallows, its long legs half immersed in sunlit water. Herons often rest like this, completely still, waiting for the subtle flicker of a fish beneath the surface. Their concentration is calm, unwavering, shaped by patience that seems as deep as the pond itself. A few steps later, a small family of blue tits flits across the branches above you. They move in tiny bursts of color, searching for insects among fresh leaves. Blue tits form close-knit groups, often sharing information about food sources with gentle calls. Their presence feels bright and warm, like tiny sparks drifting from tree to tree. The wind shifts again, carrying the scent of sun-warmed pine needles. A jay appears for a moment, perched high on a branch, its soft blue feathers glowing in the light. Jays have excellent memories and will revisit favored perches again and again. This one seems to settle into the warm air, letting the sun soak into its wings. The trail leads you toward a quieter part of the meadow, where the grass grows taller and the breeze slows. Feathers drift occasionally from above. delicate reminders of preening birds grooming themselves in the branches. Birds molt softly throughout the year, replacing old feathers with new ones in slow, gentle steps that never leave them vulnerable. You pause here, letting the sunlight warm your face. The birds around you move in calm arcs, gliding, hopping, preening, singing soft notes into the golden air. Every wing beat feels unhurried. Every breath feels warm and even. This is the closing space of the journey, where morning eases into day and the world settles into gentle fullness. A robin sings one more quiet note nearby. A goldfinch dips behind a thistle. A swallow glides overhead in a soft curve of motion, and you feel yourself settling too, wrapped in warmth, carried by the slow rhythm of nature. The world feels safe, soft, open, a place where you can finally let go. The story doesn't end, it simply quiets. Just as birds rest between flights, you're invited to rest now too. Close your eyes whenever you're ready. Let your breath fall into an easy cadence. Let the warmth of sunlight and the softness of wings gather around you and drift peacefully into rest, held by the gentle world of birds.